The global pandemic strongly affected the economy and the labor market. Especially youth were vulnerable going into this crisis. Unemployment affected more than 67 million youngsters worldwide, or almost 14% of the labor force under 27. Many more millions were not in employment, education, or training. More than 3/4 of young people were employed in the informal economy, making them highly vulnerable to this downturn, including also Europe. Given the sheer size of the problem, I've come to the conclusion that we have to implement radical social innovation at large scale and high speed. Let me explain. We are talking about demand, supply, and matching, but do we all have a similar understanding what we mean with demand, supply, and matching? It seems as if demand is only coming from employers and that supply is only coming from individuals. And that is simply not true. Demand is also coming from individuals, especially demand for personal learning advice to enable them to grow from junior to senior positions. But how do we help them to define the learning gap and to get the learning advice they need? We don't. The reason? We lack a real understanding of the requested demand from employers and the delivered supply from individuals. Therefore, we cannot deliver a gap analysis, let alone we can match individuals with personal learning advice at scale. And there is more. Demand is not limited to employers and individuals. It's also coming from regions. They have a demand for job creation to mobilize all of their talents and assets. The biggest number of new jobs is coming from employers with less than 20 employees. This is a huge group. In Europe alone, we're talking about roughly 20 million employers representing 110 million employees. That is huge. And guess what? They have no infrastructure to articulate their demand, to select the best talents, or to support their staff to grow. 70% of this group never used a job board. I believe we have to do better. Of course, we have to take into account that every country in Europe is different, with different languages, different cultures, different regulations, etc. But we are all people. We all have passion. We all have strengths, and yes, we all have competencies. I think it is time that we make use of these first principles and that we use what we have in common and not what sets us apart. It is time to implement radical social innovation at large scale and high speed. I would like to invite you to join our movement on radical social innovation, and for more information, ignitefuture.today.